welcome. We're reviewing some good news this month from the Good Newspaper, September edition. And what we're looking at, looking behind the headlines and trying to find some points that will help you in your life. And we're looking at two particular articles. One, the editorial this month, which looks for reasons to believe and is looking about meaning and desire. And Mark's going to look at Set Free Behind Bars, I think is the headline for that. So Mark's gonna give us some answers on that. Mark, over to you.
Thank you. How many of us live two lives? You know, one public life, but behind the scenes, people don't really know what's going on. Well, here's a man who tells his story. On the outside, he's happily married, been married for 21 years. He's got grown-up children. He's a filmmaker, and he's won numerous awards for his films. Has also written 18 books. But behind the scenes, he struggles deeply with a past history of crime, being in prison, and emotional disorder. It was while he was in prison, though, that his life was transformed. Little by little, he found a Christian book and began to read it, began to go to the chapel in the prison, and eventually gave his life over to Jesus Christ. What I like about his story is it's just the nitty-gritty daily grind of life still hasn't changed. He still struggles, but in those struggles, he does know the peace of Jesus. He does know the keeping of God despite his struggles. I think that's a great encouragement for those of us for whom life is not always easy and smooth. There are struggles, there are challenges, but you read a story like this and you realize that the true freedom is found not in circumstances changing, but in giving your life over to Jesus Christ. That's what happened to this gentleman. The same thing can happen to you. Be encouraged to reconsider the transformation that Jesus Christ can give to you, just as he gave to this man. Colin.
Thanks, Mark. And the editorial is talking about meaning, and particularly talks about the consumerism in our society and the greed it creates. And how can we avoid getting caught up in this greed? Well, there's 3 points to make here, really, that hopefully will help us. Firstly, beware of the pressure of adverts and the media to always have more. Having more doesn't bring the happiness that the adverts talk about, because there's always more to have. Only happiness can come if it's something inside us, and knowing Jesus, knowing God, that really can help us inside, to give us that inner contentment that we need. Secondly, Jesus talks about a different way of being, a way of being thankful, a way of being content in all circumstances, a way of giving, thinking of the other person, focused on others rather than on yourself. These aren't just clever words, they are real meaningful ways of living, and they really do work. So I'd really encourage you to consider that and find out more about Jesus, but reading about him in the Bible, in John's Gospel, Mark's Gospel, Luke's Gospel, and Matthew's Gospel. And thirdly, my final point is our desires and our appetites are all God-given for a reason. When we're thirsty, we need to drink. When we're hungry, we need to eat. But things can get twisted out of all shape. And also, we often just focus on the physical needs we have and pleasure, whereas the Bible talks about our spiritual needs. And there's a lot of understanding about spiritual needs in society, but not the Christian understanding. It's meeting your needs with God's helping you. It's a different focus. It's so often we don't put God first, and that's why our lives get out of kilter. Only God can really satisfy, like no other. Mark, back over to you.
I am really excited about this month's edition of the Good Newspaper. So let me encourage you, get a copy of the Good Newspaper or read it online. I think the breadth of the articles will touch and challenge and cause you to consider different facets of your life that perhaps have not been considered before by you, and how Jesus Christ can enter in and make that transformation that you will experience it, you will feel it, you will know it. Thank you.